Episode 1, Part 103. The Silence of the Pacific. Introduction to the Mu Legend. Thoughtful. The Pacific Ocean. Long pause. An endless expanse of blue, stretching across millions of square kilometers, more than just Earth's largest body of water. It is said to hold one of history's deepest and quietest secrets, the lost continent of Mu. According to legend, one of humanity's most advanced civilizations rose from its depths thousands of years ago, only to vanish melancholy, without a trace. Like a ghost, it was erased from maps, but never from memory. This story first surfaced in the late 19th century through the writings of a British officer, James Churchward. He claimed it all began with a set of sacred texts, the Nakul tablets, shared with him by a Tibetan priest. Churchward said he deciphered these ancient symbols and uncovered the wisdom, the science, and the philosophy of a forgotten civilization. A civilization that once flourished on a vast continent named Mu. According to him, this world was not only technologically advanced, but spiritually evolved, a seed from which other great civilizations would grow. Cursor. But why the Pacific? This belief is rooted not only in mysticism, but also in geology. The Pacific hosts the world's most active tectonic boundaries, a fiery circle known as the Ring of Fire, earthquakes, volcanoes, movement strong enough to sink land into the sea. Some believe the island chains scattered across this ocean are remnants, the broken bones of Mu itself. These theories breathe geological life into ancient legend. And yet, Mu is not unique to Churchward. Across the world, echoes of this myth resound. India speaks of Kumari Kandam, South America remembers Aslan, Polynesian lore tells of Hiva, and Tibetan stories of Shambhala. Though oceans apart, they share common themes: floods, lost lands, and ancient wisdom waiting to be remembered. But what makes Mu different is not just its scale, but its soul. Helena Blavatsky, through the Theosophy movement, expanded this vision. She introduced Lemuria, a land tied not to science, but spirit. Churchward followed and shaped Mu as the cradle of the Golden Age, where people communicated by thought, harnessed the powers of nature, and lived in balance between consciousness and matter. Mu and Lemuria, two names often confused. Lemuria was first proposed by zoologist Philip Sclater, a scientific theory to explain lemurs, found across India and Madagascar. But over time, it slipped from science into the realms of myth. Esoteric circles embraced it. And like Mu, Lemuria became a mystical continent. Yet their roots are not the same. Lemuria began in science. Mu began in spirit, and that difference matters. Because even if unscientific, Mu offers something deeper, a philosophy, a lost source of wisdom, a memory beneath memory. Today, the legend of Mu remains vivid, especially within New Age thought. Some believe its knowledge still lives on, and that we can reconnect with it through intuition, through higher awareness. Some say the people of Mu still exist as beings of light and energy in dimensions beyond our own, guiding us quietly. These beliefs suggest that Mu is not just a story, but an idea, a symbol of what we long to return to. But what does science say? Modern geology has scanned the ocean floors and found no trace of a sunken landmass large enough to be Mu. They argue continents do not simply disappear. Tectonic change is slow, measured, and leaves behind signs. No ruins have been found, no foundations, no bones of cities beneath the waves. Yet, Mu's mystery endures because its allure was never in stone, but in spirit. Mu is the longing for something we've lost. Unity, wholeness, a deep memory that haunts the human soul. Maybe Mu was never history, but something older, something inside us. Mu has seeped into stories, into art and imagination, in comics, in fantasy novels, in science fiction. The lost continent lives on. During the mid-20th century, Mu merged with another rising myth, UFOs. And from that fusion, a new idea was born, that Mu wasn't just ancient, it was advanced. Some believe its people communicated with beings from the stars, that their technologies still lie hidden, buried in forgotten corners of the earth. But maybe the real search for Mu shouldn't lead us deeper into the sea, but deeper into ourselves. Maybe what we lost was never land, but something more intimate. The bond we once had with each other, our harmony with nature, our connection to something greater. Maybe Mu isn't a place, but a memory, a whisper, a name we gave to the thing we ache for most. James Churchward and the Lost Continent Theory. The modern rise of the Mu continent legend is synonymous with one man, James Churchward, a British-born colonel, engineer, and amateur researcher. Churchward not only revived an ancient myth in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, he also helped launch a new era of alternative history. According to him, Nu was the first civilization on Earth. All of humanity were the descendants of this great continent. His bold claims echoed widely in both scientific and occult circles. Churchward claimed that while stationed in India, he was introduced to a set of sacred texts known as the Nakal tablets through a Tibetan priest. These tablets, he asserted, recorded the history, the philosophy, and the wisdom of an ancient civilization. It once thrived on the continent of Mu. He further claimed to have deciphered these tablets, and through their symbols unveiled the beliefs, the social structure, and the scientific knowledge of the Mu people. His writings drew considerable attention. His most famous work, The Lost Continent of Mu, the Motherland of Man, was published in 1926. It quickly gained traction in esoteric circles and sparked a wave of new thought among curious readers. In the book, Churchward asserted that Mu existed 50,000 years ago in the Pacific Ocean, home to a civilization of 12 million people. According to him, the people of Mu possessed not only advanced technologies, but also an elevated spiritual consciousness. Churchward's depiction of Mu was highly idealized. He described a society rooted in peace, where war was virtually unknown and individuals lived in complete harmony with nature. In this sense, his narrative is not merely historical fiction, it is a utopian vision. Mu becomes not just a lost continent, but a moral and spiritual ideal that humanity should strive toward. However, serious doubts surround Churchward's sources. The existence of the Nakal tablets has never been independently verified. No one, besides Churchward, ever claimed to have seen them. This has cast significant skepticism on the reliability of his accounts. Many scholars suggest that the tablets were fabricated, that Churchward's interpretations of their symbols were arbitrary, and that he ignored scientific methodology altogether. Still, Churchward was not alone in his time. Around the same period, Helena Blavatsky's Theosophy movement brought renewed attention to mythical lands, like Lemuria and Atlantis. In that mystically charged atmosphere, Churchward's ideas found fertile ground. Compared to Lemuria, Mu represented a more unified and elevated notion of civilization. While Blavatsky's Lemuria focused on physical and biological diversity, Churchward's Mu authored a cosmic order infused with consciousness and spirituality. According to Churchward's theory, Mu had influenced not just the Pacific region, but the entire world. From the pyramids of Egypt to the Mayan ruins of Central America, from Indian temples to Polynesian stone figures. He believed many ancient structures shared a common origin, Mu. He claimed these were remnants of a universal wisdom system disseminated by the children of Mu. Thus, Churchward proposed that all great civilizations ultimately stemmed from a single ancient source. This perspective partially mirrored the imperialist narratives of the time. The idea of a single origin challenged Eurocentric history, but it also introduced a mystic vision of unity. Cautionary, while promoted as a peaceful worldview, it risked endorsing a reductive approach, one that stood in opposition to scientific pluralism. Among Churchward's other works are The Children of Mu, The Sacred Symbols of Mu, The Cosmic Forces of Mu. These books explored how the Mu civilization understood symbolic systems and the elemental forces of nature. His interpretations of sacred symbols remain influential in many occult communities, even today. Modern archaeology and geology, however, find no basis for Churchward's claims. There is no geological evidence supporting the existence of a massive landmass in the Pacific Ocean. In fact, the theory of plate tectonics suggests that not only did such a continent never sink, It likely never existed at all. Moreover, the developmental paths of human civilizations across the globe are vastly diverse, directly contradicting Churchward's single origin theory. Still, Churchward's impact cannot be measured solely by academic standards. He was not a historian. He was a visionary. The portrait he painted of Mu has less to do with fact and more to do with longing, belief, and subconscious desire. In his hands, Mu became not a physical place, but an intellectual and spiritual homeland. Today, Churchward's ideas continue to influence New Age movements, alternative history theories, and spiritual communities. His books have reached millions. They've been translated into dozens of languages and have remained subjects of fascination and debate for more than a century. The Puce, Tablets, Temples, and Telepathy. The Cultural Legacy of Mu. Narrated in this episode. We explore the cultural legacy of a civilization that may have vanished, but never truly faded. The lost continent of Mu was more than a place. According to Jane's Churchward, it was a peak of spiritual, intellectual, and symbolic evolution. Mu, he claimed, was not just powerful, it was enlightened. Its echoes, he said, still resonate through ancient civilizations, long after Mu was gone. The first of these echoes comes from the Nakal tablets, sacred texts preserved by a priestly order in Tibet. They were written not with letters, but with ancient symbols, ideograms layered in meaning. These symbols expressed both the visible and the invisible, the real and the eternal. Churchward believed that by unlocking this language, he gained access to deep knowledge about Mu's science, its spirituality, its way of life. In the world of Mu, nature was not other, it was self. Mountains, oceans, animals, and trees were sacred mirrors, reflections of the universal energy that flows through all things. To live was to live in harmony. This view shaped not only their beliefs, but their entire society, education, law, architecture, and city design. Temples in Mu were more than places of worship. They were centers of light, centers of sound, centers of knowing. Simple yet majestic, symmetrical, built with sacred geometry to channel energy. Inside them, they studied the stars, measured resonance, and captured the hidden rhythms of the universe. At the heart of every temple stood a stone pillar, a spire reaching toward the sun. This design would later echo in the pyramids of Egypt, the temples of the Maya, and the stupas of India. At the heart of Mu's culture was symbolism, shapes like the sun, the wave, the spiral, the triangle, and the circle carried truths beyond words. The sun symbol meant warmth, but also enlightenment. The spiral reflected time and the unfolding of consciousness. But perhaps the most mysterious aspect of Mu was their communication, not with voices, but with thought. Churchward claimed the people of Mu were telepathic. They shared feelings, ideas, and intentions, not through sound, but through silence. This form of communion created deep compassion, a life of unity, a shared understanding of all living things. They even connected telepathically with nature itself, with animals, with plants, with stars. Though science has not confirmed these claims, the symbols they left behind can still be seen in the arts of ancient cultures: Egyptian hieroglyphs, Mayan glyphs, Tibetan mandalas, Indian yantras, Celtic spirals. All reflect a shared legacy, a memory traced back to Mu. Education in Mu was unlike ours. It was not memorization, but immersion. Children learned by feeling nature's rhythm, by sensing the invisible, by listening to the energy behind sound. Mu was not just a civilization, it was a school of the soul. Its echoes inspire today's holistic education, energy medicine, and mind-body-spirit healing.
One of the most astonishing elements of Mu's legacy was their understanding of the stars. Churchward wrote that Mu's priests could read the heavens. They tracked the sun, the moon, the planets, and saw in them a mirror to the soul. Eclipses weren't omens, they were rituals. This wisdom found form in the Mayan calendar, the stones of Stonehenge, and the stellar precision of Giza. When Mu fell, its knowledge scattered, but not lost. Its priests, Churchward claimed, carried sacred truths across the earth, through symbols, through stone, through ceremony. That is why, he believed, we find pyramids, temples, and secret designs across continents. Yet somehow, strangely familiar. Mu's culture may belong to the past, but its vision points forward. If we are to find peace with nature, with one another, and with the stars above, perhaps we must listen again to Mu's whispers, its symbols, its resonance, its ancient mind. Maybe it still calls us back to a balance we've forgotten. What does science say?
Geology, ocean floors, and refutations. In this episode, we turn to science. What does geology say? What does the ocean floor reveal? And how does the academic world view the legend of Mu? Though the story of Mu remains one of the most captivating themes in alternative history, the scientific community sees it differently. That's because Mu touches not only history, but geology, oceanography, archaeology, and geography. The question is clear: does science support the existence of Mu? Churchward claimed that Mu once stretched across the central Pacific, from Hawaii to Easter Island. But this conflicts with one of science's most established frameworks, plate tectonics. Developed in the mid-20th century, this theory explains how Earth's surface moves, not as a single mass, but in shifting plates, continents drift slowly across vast spans of time. A sudden collapse of a landmass like Mu is considered impossible. Why? Because continents and oceans are built differently. Continents have lighter crusts. Ocean crusts are heavier, and heavy crust doesn't swallow light crust. If Mu had truly collapsed, we'd find evidence. But marine geology reveals something else. Lava plains, ridges, deep trenches, not a sunken world. Satellites and sonar have scanned the Pacific, and still there are no signs of a vanished continent. Another challenge is time. Churchward said Mu existed 50,000 years ago. But this story doesn't fit. Homo sapiens were just beginning to spread across the world then. Farming was still 40,000 years away. Cities even further. Could an advanced global civilization have existed back then and left no trace? It strains belief. Some argue that Mu left behind cultural echoes in the pyramids of Egypt, in the temples of the Maya, in the stone figures of Polynesia. But scientists see these as coincidences. Similar forms don't mean shared origin. Triangular structures, for example, appear worldwide, not because of shared ancestry, but because triangles are strong. No languages connect these cultures. No written links. No DNA. Another problem is evidence, or the lack of it. The knockout tablets Churchward's source have never been verified. No museum displays them. No archaeologist has found them. Their symbols? Experts say, well, they look more like spiritual invention than ancient script. Some may even reflect modern reinterpretations of Eastern philosophies. And so, in academic circles, Mu is called what it is: pseudoscience. Science requires that claims be observable, testable, falsifiable. Mu does not meet that standard. You won't find it in geology books or history texts, but you may find it in fringe documentaries and popular myths. But even as we challenge the legend, we must also acknowledge the limits of science. Science sees only what can be measured, weighed, observed. It cannot touch myth or memory or the symbols that speak to the soul. To dismiss Mu entirely would be to miss its deeper meaning. Perhaps it's not a place. Perhaps it's a metaphor, a symbol of what we feel we've lost. Still, when it comes to facts, science is clear. There are no signs of Mu beneath the ocean.
Plate tectonics rules out a sudden collapse. No artifacts, no ruins, no bones. Churchward's timeline doesn't match human history. His sources remain unverifiable. Science is not here to erase stories, but to place them where they belong. And when we do that, Mu becomes less history and more myth. And that's not a failure. It's a transformation. Because even without proof, Mu still lives. In curiosity, in imagination, in the longing we carry to rediscover what we once were, to remember what we might still become. Esoteric thought, New Age movement, and the modern echo of Mu. In the shadows of history, where written pages end, a whisper continues to echo. Mu. The name alone feels like a memory, half lost, half dreamed. Though it finds no place in textbooks, Mu lives quietly in the background hum of modern spirituality. It is not a fact, but a longing. Not a place, but an ideal. In the 20th century, New Age movements gave Mu new breath. They did not simply revive the legend, they rebuilt it, turned it into a symbol for a forgotten golden age. Esotericism, that ancient quest for hidden truth, found Mu waiting at its center. From Hermetic philosophy to Gnostic visions, from medieval alchemists to 19th century mystics, one message endured. We are more than flesh, and our origins go deeper than time. With Theosophy, Helena Blavatsky placed Lemuria, Atlantis, and Mu into a spiritual cosmos. James Churchward took it further. For him, Mu wasn't just one of many lost lands. It was the first, the beginning, the motherland of mankind. Both believe that human history is not simply material. It is cosmic, layered, sacred. To modern seekers, Mu became not a civilization, but a mirror, a metaphor for the wisdom we feel we've lost. As the world turned toward yoga, meditation, energy healing, Mu returned, not through ruins, but through resonance. They said the people of Mu mastered chakras, understood frequencies, and spoke without words. Some say the people of Mu reached a higher state of being, the fifth dimension, not bound by the body, but moving as energy, pure and luminous. They left no cities, no bones, only echoes, encoded in symbols and stored in dreams. Today, in spiritual circles, Mu appears often in guided meditations, in channeling rituals, in whispers from past lives. But not just there, in comic books, in the glowing pages of fantasy, in retro sci-fi dreams. The 60s and 70s brought Mu to the screens and shelves. Writers imagined it as a place of beauty, technological and yet deeply in tune with nature. Even superheroes hinted at a world lost beneath the sea, a land that knew peace and power and purpose. And then came the internet. Mu returned once more, this time in pixels, forums, and digital myths. Videos speak of secret ruins. Threads argue over maps. Some say aliens came to Mu. Some say we came from Mu. Others still feel they've been there, in dreams, in visions, in silence. All these stories point to something ancient, not out there, but within us. Mu is no longer a myth. It is an archetype, passed down not in scrolls, but through the soul. Like Karyu's collective unconscious, Mu is a symbol that transcends time. It speaks to what we once had and what we hope to find again. In Mu, there were no wars, no borders, no races, only unity. Every life was sacred, every soul connected. For some, this dream is more real than the world we live in. They don't just want to read about Mu, they want to return. Not on a map, but in spirit. Academia rejects it, and rightly so. There is no proof. But must all truth be written to be felt? Along the cliffs of Japan, in the hills of Tibet, by the shores of Hawaii. Some say the energy of Mu still lingers. Some say they've heard the songs of a forgotten land, soft as starlight. And maybe none of it is true, but maybe, just maybe, it doesn't have to be. Because Mu is more than memory, it is a dream of what we might yet become, a future where wisdom returns, where harmony lives, where we are not many, but one. The rebirth of Mu may simply be the rebirth of us. One like, one subscription. That's the power behind these stories. Support me, and I'll bring more tales to life. Your like lifts me up, and every new subscriber opens the door to another magical story.